Our next speaker is Jasmine Cotnam. Jasmine is a research coordinator for Women's College Hospital and Elevate NWO on the direct client services team as a case manager. Welcome, Jasmine. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm going to start by sharing my screen, so just bear with me for a quick second. I'm the one that opted to do this, and perhaps it's not the best. Okay. All right, and I'm going to start from the beginning. Can somebody just acknowledge that you can see it? Okay, you can. Wonderful, and I can be heard okay. All right, wonderful. So good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Jasmine Cotnam. I'm from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Actually, it's where I call home. I'm originally from the Ottawa Valley. I'm a citizen of Métis Nation, Ontario, and a very publicly disclosed HIV positive Indigenous woman. It's a delight to be here. And I'm going to talk to you guys today about a study that has had significant impact in the community and that I had the pleasure of coordinating. All right, I do need to move something over here. Not really a normal thing to ask an Indigenous person to do a land acknowledgement, but I would like to, on behalf of the research team, would like to acknowledge the stewards of the land and the earth that many Indigenous people have walked upon. And where this research was conducted, I'd also like to pay respect to our ancestors, our current knowledge holders, including elders, and our non-human relationships that contribute to healthy environments, such as animals, plants, water, and soil. In addition to this, we as the team would like to acknowledge all of the service providers who work tirelessly on the front lines to meet the diverse health and social needs of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit, collectively referred to as Indigenous women. Thank you to the women who played a pivotal role in shaping the research and advancing the knowledge on what Indigenous women want to learn in terms of how to reduce and manage stress. It's a big mouthful there, isn't it? But super important. This research project was funded by the CIHR in partnership with Elevate NWO and a whole bunch of contributors, which I'm going to speak to here. We have Dr. Anita Benoit, Art Vocal, Atik Bird, Christine Minusqui of University of Toronto, Dr. Chris Mushquash of Lakehead University, Danielle Nekoas, Dion Gesnick, Elaine Toombs, Holly Govan, myself, Lena Sargetes, Linda Barkman, who is our in-house elder, Lorraine Liscombe from Women's College Research Institute, Margaret Robinson, a wonderful woman from Dalhousie University, dear friend and lovely human being, Marnie Amiro, and Melissa Deschamps of OHAS, which is the Ontario Aboriginal HIV/AIDS Strategy. Sometimes it's really good just to name people because this work takes a whole bunch of people and a lot of collaboration, love, and thought, and not one person can take any credit for it. There are, of course, a million more. And lastly, I really want to acknowledge the women that participated in the study. So I'm going to speak to the research question and the program description. So this was the big question. In Indigenous women living with and without HIV who are residing in Ontario, will stress levels decrease after practicing a stress-reducing intervention grounded in Indigenous culture every 2 weeks for 6 months? So that was the question. The primary objective was to compare cortisol and amylase levels pre and post intervention for Indigenous women living with and without HIV. And I'm going to stop and kind of go back. So women participated in a demographic survey that asked some questions around knowledge with HIV, about racism and other things, but they were also given the opportunity to provide saliva samples before the intervention, the first week of the intervention, 3 months in, and then again at 6 months, and then 2 weeks later. And Dr. Benoit with Lena Sargetes and other scientists were able to look at the cortisol levels to see if there had been any change. And for those of you that don't know, cortisol is, well, it's a stress hormone, and it plays a big impact. The secondary objective was dichotomized by HIV status, R2, determine the correlation between cortisol and amylase levels with stress measured using perceived stress scale, and compare at pre and post intervention the levels of knowledge around HIV and STBPIs, reporting around depression, stress, post-traumatic stress disorder, self-esteem, self-determination, coping self-efficacy, alcohol use, antiretroviral adherence for people who were living with HIV in the study, and of course, so important, racism. The sessions were held in Toronto in Thunder Bay from 2017 to 2018, and approximately 80 women were recruited. Participants received an honorarium and travel expenses were covered. Of course, in good research that I think everyone knows, well, who knows me knows that eating is ceremony and eating with people is ceremony. So of course, food was always offered, and it was always offered beforehand, just so we had a chance to bond and connect. So the session format was, we would do a welcome and a check-in, and we would do a check-in with Elder Linda Barkman here in Thunder Bay, and there were 2 different elders in Toronto. Then we, of course, we would have the wonderful meal. We would do a relaxation activity, something called autogenic training. I can give you a very quick blip of it. You would just kind of sit very still, take a deep breath, and somebody, would usually be my voice or somebody who maybe even had a calmer voice than mine, would go through something of like, I am completely calm. My right arm is heavy. My right arm is heavy. My right arm is heavy. I am completely calm. My elbow bends, and you would just kind of like go through that, and it would be a way just to kind of move throughout your body and to remind yourself that you're calm or become calm, just kind of reduce the stress and relax, hopefully, or actually relax and then reduce the stress, hopefully. We would have educational and strength-based activities with diverse Indigenous practices. This was, one of the best things about, like an online world, is we were able to connect with people across so-called Canada and have them join in. Sometimes we would do some land-based stuff. Sometimes it would be connected around cooking, and it was absolutely lovely. And in the end, we would do guided imagery. So our elder would take us on a beautiful closed eyes walk through an activity, and it could be, a forest walk or, picking up stones and holding them in your hand, and you would be guided through it. And then we would be closing with an elder, which in Thunder Bay was Linda Barkman, a grandmother, or a knowledge carrier. This is something actually just listening to Val speak earlier was a little bit similar as she talked to us. Okay, so, with projects, you always have to evaluate the impact. So some of the feedback that we got from the women were they wanted more available resources for the community, and they actually wanted to learn more about the biological information about stress in relation to stress management. This was something that was given in our feedback. Suggestions for educational and strength-based activities were more outdoor sessions and more popcorn advice sessions, which I really like that. So I'm going to just read the quote for this one. The women talked about the idea of popcorn or advice sessions. In these sessions, one person would ask a question to the group, which the group would then take time to discuss. Suggestions for topics on these sessions focus on advice on coping or stress management strategies for life. So what I really love about this is that the women actually were able to understand that, they weren't just participating. This was reciprocal. They had knowledge and gifts and wanted to help each other with talking about their strategies of stuff. They wanted me to include moving forward more feedback forms, just so that they could contribute and shape the project even more. And the sessions were actually only 2 hours, and they had suggested that we extend it to 3. Those are really beautiful things with the project, just because it means that one, with the feedback forms and wanting to contribute, means that there was ownership amongst the group. And then the extension of time, sometimes people just can't wait to get out of there. And it's just really nice to know that this was something that women wanted. One of the things in the project that isn't on here that I wanted to speak to is that only about 20% of the women who participated in this were living with HIV. And the rest were women who took interest in the project and applied. So that was absolutely wonderful. It was mixed. We didn't have just women living with HIV in one group. In the study, there was an opportunity to talk about that in the beginning. And I, just to keep members safe, because no one actually had to discuss their status, I disclosed. I said, if you're wondering who the person in the room who's living with HIV is, it's me. And and I said, so if you have any questions, we can move forward. It was an amazing spot for people to learn about HIV who didn't know, and for women who were living with HIV to actually share the knowledge that they had. Some women chose to disclose, actually most, and a few didn't, but amazing relationships happened. And I think that's the end of my slides. So I know that a wonderful woman named Krista Shore is presenting after me, and I want to ensure that she has all the time in the world, because she is a fantastic speaker and a giant in our community. So I'm going to stop.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for that excellent presentation. And the guided imagery that you spoke about, for those who were at our last session on Friday, Dawn and Jack actually took participants through a guided imagery process, and it was life-changing for me. And I'm sure that others would have felt the same. So thank you so much for the summary.